Hey everyone, I wanted to show you guys a product that I've recently added to my arsenal of tools here in the trailer to help deal with audio and to make sure that audio levels are actually in check and where they ought to be. So I've got this new product. Well, it's not a new product, but it's new to me. It's a product from a company called TC Electronic, and this is the Clarity M Stereo. They have another version of this. It's called the Clarity M, which does surround sound, 5.1 channels. This one only does 2 channels. Other than that, they're basically identical. So one of the things that's happened in video and broadcast in the last few years is there's been legislation in a lot of parts of the world to make sure that audio levels aren't too loud. So with the switch from standard def to high def and the switch from analog to digital, there was a change in the way that broadcast was done, and audio levels for TV programs were lowered to give them basically opportunity for more dynamic range. And advertising decided that they wanted to take advantage of that, and you've probably seen, at least years ago, that commercials were a lot louder than the TV program that they were a part of. And this annoyed a lot of consumers, and governments got involved and passed laws in a lot of parts of the world to make sure that audio levels from program to commercials and whatnot basically stay the same. And so there's legislation in place basically says your audio has to be at this level, and it's more complicated than just keep your max level at this decibel range. It's way more complicated, but basically it's based on how our ears and brains perceive sound and how those levels are measured over time. So it's not an instantaneous measurement. So like here in the United States, broadcast is set up to be limited to basically minus 23 dB in LUFS, L-U-F-S. It's basically a loudness unit for sound. So you had to have a way to monitor that. And this unit right here, this is, like I say, this is the Clarity M Stereo from TC Electronic, is a device that's meant to help us do that. So there are others as well. This just happens to be the most affordable that I've found. And it has a lot of flexibility in terms of how you can use it. So right now I've got it connected up to my audio system here in my trailer, and I'm playing some music, and that's why you can see some levels going on here. But it also has a mode where you can use it with your favorite video or audio editor. So let me just actually show you the back panel of this thing, and this will make a little bit more sense. So on the back we've got connections for power, and then we've got this multi-connection here. I'll get to that in a moment. Then there's a USB port right here, which actually allows you to, that's what allows you to connect it to a computer. So you plug that in, and then you install a plugin. It's a VST plugin that works in basically all of your audio and video editor applications, anything that supports VST. And then you can monitor your audio level. You send any audio that you're using as part of your program, whatever you're editing, out through that VST plugin, and then you can monitor your levels on the unit itself. So in terms of other connections, there's an optical audio input here. It's a Toslink connection. And then on this breakout cable, the connection I'm actually using here is it has a BNC, and that comes with an adapter for XLR, and that's for connecting up an AES EBU signal, and that's what I'm happen to be using now. I'm using one of the Audinate AVIO adapters as the AES version. So that's how I'm getting audio into this from my Dante-based mixer. In addition to that, we've got a couple other connections here. There's a foot switch, and then I can't remember off the top of my head what that one is. But so this allows you to integrate with most audio systems, and then you can monitor your audio levels. Now let's take a look at some of the things that are on screen here. There's a bunch of different layouts that it comes with, but you can also customize it quite a bit. So I'm just going to talk about some of the various elements that are on here. So upper left here, we've got this outer ring is basically a loudness meter that's measured in LUFS. And then inside of that we have a radar, which basically lets you see what the audio level is over time. So with these regulations, you have to watch your long-term audio levels. It isn't just a peak measurement. So this lets you see what's going on, and you can adjust the time. So right now I've got it set on 1 minute because it takes 1 minute to go all the way around. And the music that's playing right now doesn't vary in level much. It must be a relatively recent pop song that's playing at the moment because those don't vary in level much. But you can see over time what's going on. And then over here on this side, we've got a bunch of different meters, and I've customized this to my own liking. We've got settings, views for the peak to loudness value, true peak, loudness max, loudness range, sliding 10-second number, and this is kind of the one that I watch the most. And then we have an overall program loudness indicator here, and of course we got some loudness level meters, there we go, and then some indicators if the left or right channels has ever peaked. Down at the bottom I've got a mono deviation and correlation, and those are there to help make sure that your stereo signal is, well, it's got stereo and that the phase hasn't been messed up in any kind of way. So also in addition to that, we've got down here there's a clock which basically lets us know how long the meter has been running, and that's helped you know how long this program loudness value has actually been recorded. So this accumulates data over time unless you see what your overall program loudness is. Now at any point if you need to start over, say you've adjusted some settings and you want to make sure that you're not going too high or too hot on whatever, you can come right down here and press the reset button, and that will reset basically everything there, and you see that the time started over. And so basically, yeah, anytime you start a new program, you go from one program to another, whatever, just do a quick reset on there, and then you can track your overall loudness. So this sliding number here is slowly increasing because we started out, well, basically at 0 because we reset it, and when we get to 10 seconds in, that number will actually be a little bit more meaningful. Alright, in addition to that, we've also got some other views on here. So we go over here to the RTA view, and that lets you see what's going on, different frequency bands and the level of each of those bands. And you can actually adjust this knob here and seek out a particular band, and then it shows you with the frequency and then the level, basically instantaneous level of that particular frequency. And then there's also one other view here, and that's a scope. So this lets you basically see what's going on, the relationship between the left and right channels. If you got a signal that's primarily going up and down, like this one, let me zoom in a little bit, there we go. If you go up and down, that means your left and right channels are more or less in phase. If it starts to go horizontal like this, you've got a phase problem. If it moves just diagonal, like for example, this is the X, this is the right channel going this direction, so if your line is only going this direction, that means you've only got signal on the right, and if it's going this way, that means you've only got signal on the left. And so if it's set up properly and you've got a proper stereo mix, most of your motion should be up and down. And then from there we can go back to the radar view on that as well. So in addition to that, we've got a whole library of presets that are available. You can choose which, it's got several different folders, like for example here's the broadcast settings, and then we've got one for music, for film, different settings that are pre-loaded into here, and then of course you can create your own. So I have this auto number 6. I haven't bothered to rename it, but the auto number 6 is basically the one that I have been using. I've had this unit for a couple of months, or about a month now, a little over a month, and I've used it on a number of events, and it's been very useful to make sure the audio levels are in check. Okay. In addition to that, you can, like I say, you can customize this. So if we go into the edit mode, there's a number of settings that we can tweak here, so we can change how fast the radar moves. Like for example, if I change that to 4 minutes for the radar to go all the way around, so it's got settings for 1 minute, 4 minute, 12 minutes, so you can see what's been going on for that length of time. And you can come down here and set the resolution, so you can, it allows you to sort of zoom in and see what's going on a little bit more. There's where you set your target loudness. In different countries and different environments, there's different targets that you need to meet. So I target minus 23 LUFS, because that's what we use here in broadcast in the United States. And yeah, a bunch of other settings. So screen layout, you can either use a custom one or one of the presets. If you want to customize those, that's what the layout button here in the lower left is for. So you hit that, and then you can use the up and down to highlight different elements on screen. So like right now, it's loudness max is the one that's highlighted, and then I just twist the knob, and that allows me to choose different values, different parameters that are available in there as well. So once I've got that set up the way I like, hit exit, and there we go. So you pick the layout you want, pick the layout that works for you. There's pretty good descriptions of all these different parameters in the manual, so I'm not going to go through all of that. And the manual's available free from the TC Electronic website. So if that's something that interests you, you can actually go and look that up for yourself. But so anyway, it's actually a pretty cool unit. I'm pretty pleased that I got it. The only thing that really bothers me about this is it doesn't have any sort of analog inputs on it. So if you're using only analog gear, you're going to have to go through some sort of analog to digital conversion. Fortunately, though, it does work with SPDIF, which is the consumer analog to digital format, and you can pick up analog to SPDIF digital converters online for really cheap, under $20. Amazon's got a whole bunch of them. It's hard to find ones that actually take professional type audio connections on the inputs, so most of them are RCA, so you're dealing with consumer, which could be a bit of an issue. But if you got a mixer that has an RCA output, then you run that into the converter, then run the SPDIF output of that into this unit, and then you can actually monitor your audio. Tricky part about that is it's a little bit more difficult to know what the actual reference level is when you're dealing with analog versus digital. Now, before I wrap up, I wanted to show you guys one other thing. So I'm going to actually reroute some audio for this. I'm going to show you what happens with the program audio. It's basically me talking. So I'm going to go into my Dante controller software, and I'm going to take the stereo left and stereo right channels instead of the aux that I was using for music. And then as I talk, you should be able to see the level meters moving around. And as I take break, the level meters will actually come down. So this is a little more realistic graph of what you would see if you're actually working an event where people are talking or whatever. So yeah, it looks quite a bit different than music, but again, you still need to maintain that constant audio level. I'm a little bit quieter than the music, as kind of expected, but it's a good idea to keep the audio level in check even for just talking heads or whatever. Anyway, so that is kind of a brief overview of the TC Electronic Clarity M stereo. In this case, again, they have another version that works for surround, so it gives you 5.1 channels instead of just the 2. But it's a great tool for making sure that your audio levels are proper. And even though I don't necessarily work in broadcast, it's a good idea to make sure that you're still following those standards, because they've been doing it in broadcast for a while. We know it works. It's a great standard to follow whenever you possibly can. So if you guys have questions about this, you can try and leave those in the comment section, and I'll do my best to answer those when I can. Again, as I mentioned in other videos, I've gotten very busy, and the number of questions coming in various sources has gotten kind of overwhelming. So if you're in the community and you can help out to answer questions there, that would be very much appreciated as well. I also want to mention my Crew Access website. It's this website that I built starting about 4 years ago for my own company to help me keep track of my crew, my equipment, the events that we're working, and that site is now available for others. It has been for a little while. I've got some very affordable plans on there, including a free plan. So if you are looking for a website to help you manage your video production business, you can go to crewaccess.com or follow the link down in the description for some promotional plans that aren't available otherwise. So anyway, thanks everyone for watching, and have a great day.